Hello everyone, today we are going to be talking about volume and how to find the volume of a cube. In today's lesson we will be reviewing some of the things that we were learning before the FSA, and you will also be learning a few new things or refreshing your memory on a few things. The first thing I want to make sure that you do is get out your math journal and open it up to a new page. Make sure you record the date, time, and location of when you are watching, when and where you are watching this video. Once you have done that, go ahead and label the page as volume, and go ahead and start off by writing the definition of volume. If you look right here, this is the definition of volume. It says volume is the measure of the amount of space a solid figure occupies and is measured in cubic units. The first thing I want you guys to notice when you're looking at this definition is it's saying it's the measure of the amount of space a solid figure occupies. So if you look right here, I have an example of a solid figure. When I'm trying to find the volume, I'm trying to figure out how much space does this take up in cubic units. So this is a cubic unit right here, this little square, and we can measure those in centimeters, feet, yards. It changes. In this case, we're measuring in centimeters though. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how many of these little squares, these little cubic centimeters, there are in this whole cube or box. The other thing I want you to write down in your math journal right now is the two different formulas for volume. They're basically the same thing, but it helps you if you get a specific type of problem. So let's see, the first one, you are supposed to find the length times the width times the height to find the volume. Multiply the length, the width, and the height together. The other one is the same thing, but sometimes in word problems or examples, they're just going to give you the base. When I'm saying they're going to give you the area of the base of something, that means that this has a base right here. And we can actually look at the top, because the top, it looks the same as the base here. And I can find the area of this top part right here. And then all I would have to do to find the volume be multiply the base, the area of the base, times the height of the cube in order to find it. So sometimes if a question is asking you to find the volume, but it only gives you two numbers, that's because they're giving you the area of the base. They're not giving you the length and the width. Alright, real quick, I need to make sure that you guys understand what the difference is between length and width. Length, think long. Okay, what's the longest side down here? Now remember, height doesn't count because height is always going to stay this one right here. Width, or height is always up and down, I should say. Width and length are going to be horizontal. The length is the longer one. So if I look at my example down here, I see that this is 10 centimeters long, and so it's longer than the 4 centimeters, so my 10 centimeters is actually going to equal my length. I'm going to put L for length. Next, if I look at my width, it's going to be the 4. So 4 is the width of my cube, 4 centimeters I should say. When I multiply these two numbers together, I'm going to find the base, the area of the base of this model right here. Then I'm going to take those two numbers and I'm going to multiply them times the height of the cube. The height of the cube is what's going up and down, which in this case equals 4 centimeters. And I can represent that with the letter H. So once I figured out my measurements, or my the parts to my formula, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my formula and solve the question. Solve for volume. Length is 10 centimeters, so I'm just going to go ahead and put 10 up here. We'll add in centimeters back later. I'm going to multiply that 10 times the width, which is 4. And I'm going to multiply that 4, the width, times the height, which is 4. So if I look at my multiplication problem here now, I have 10 times 4, which I can easily figure out, 40. And then I'm going to multiply that, which is the area of the base, times 4. So it's going to become 40 times 4, which equals, hopefully you guys can do this part in your heads, 40 times 4 is 160. So remember how I said the centimeters are going to come back into play here? This is the time they come back into play. 160 what? Basically is what I'm going to ask you. If you find the volume of something, you just write 160. I'm going to ask you, what unit of measurement were you using? The unit of measurement that you are using in this case is centimeters. This is 4 centimeters, this is 10 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters. When I find the volume, that means that I'm finding how many square or cubes there are here. So this is a cube here, this is a cube here. Altogether, I have 160 cubes. That's what it means when it's saying you're measuring in cubic units. How many cubes are there in this whole box? Well, in this case, we found out there are 160, so I'm going to write centimeters, 160 centimeters, but they're cubic centimeters. They're not just like one single line centimeter. So I'm going to have to write the cubed sign, or the 3 in the exponent's place, to represent that I have 160 cubed centimeters, or centimeters cubed. So that's how you find a volume. If you're given a diagram and given the measurements of the diagram, that is how you would find the volume. Sometimes, though, you are going to be given a word problem to solve. So in this case, if you look here, I have a word problem that is asking you to find the cubic feet of an aquarium. So let's read through the word problem. The Jade Restaurant has a large aquarium on display in its lobby. The base of the aquarium is 6 feet by 3 feet. The height is 4 feet. So here they went ahead and said, oh, well, this base, if you look right here, this is 6 feet on this side, this is 3 feet on this side. So if you multiply these two numbers together, you're going to find the base. We were also told the height of the aquarium. The height of the aquarium is going to be 4 feet. And so if I go ahead and connect all my lines, which you don't need to do this, but it's also sometimes helpful if you're having a hard time picturing it, to draw it out. I now have my 3 measurements, 4 feet by 6 feet by 3 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my formula. Remember, the longest side is the length, so that's going to be the 6. The width is how wide it is, which will be the 3. And the height is how high it goes, which is 4. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply my numbers here. I'm going to find the area of the base first, which would be 18. And then I'm going to multiply 18 times 4. 18 times 4 in this case would be 72. Now remember, when I'm finding the volume, I have to include my measurements. It's going to be 72 cubic feet. So I'm going to write feet, or the abbreviation for feet, cubed. So your answer would be 72 feet cubed. Alright, now it's your turn to try out some problems. I have one diagram that you have to find the volume of, and one word problem that you must answer. I would like for you to make sure that you include these in your math journal after you have written your summary, and come to class tomorrow ready to discuss.